The first time the wider universe noticed humanity, it was not because of fleets or banners or speeches. It was because a small human cargo ship refused to yield. The incident happened near a drifting trade corridor where dozens of species exchanged materials and favors. Pirates from an old coalition surrounded the vessel with practiced ease. Their scanners showed no elite markings, no threat symbols, no legendary combat signatures, only a standard human registry and a crew list marked civilian. Pirates broadcast demands with casual confidence. They had learned which species broke quickly. They had learned which ones begged. They had learned which ones paid. The human ship did none of those things. Instead, the cargo vessel adjusted its trajectory. By a narrow margin, the engines hummed louder, the shields shifted in a pattern unfamiliar to outside observers. Then the pirates lost 3 ships without understanding how. Superweapons. No forbidden technology, no elite boarding teams, just regular humans doing what they called problem-solving that day. A single word entered interstellar rumor networks: regulars. At first it was mockery. Every species had elites. Every civilization loved titles. Special forces meant something everywhere it meant. Rare training and genetic advantage and rituals of prestige. Humans had those too. But the stories never focused on them. The stories focused on dock workers who fought like veterans, on engineers who turned scrap into traps, on medics who kept moving forward while others retreated. The universe tried to understand these patterns. The Galactic Council requested a demonstration not of the elites of the regulars. The humans agreed. They sent a unit called Third Shift. No banners, no dramatic arrival, just a transport that landed with a soft mechanical sigh. Observers filled the amphitheater. Scowled beings, feathered beings, crystalline thinkers, and hive delegates. They expected drills and formalities. Instead, they saw people drinking warm beverages and joking quietly. They adjusted gear with unhurried hands. They checked each other not with ceremony, but with familiarity. Observer whispered that these must be support staff. The test environment was a simulated colony breach. Automated threats, adaptive terrain, limited visibility. It was designed to overwhelm even experienced units. The signal sounded. Third shift moved in fast, not slow, purposeful. One human paused to listen to the floor. Another redirected power from lighting to sensors. Another placed a marker not for attack but for navigation. They spoke little. When they did, it was comm threats emerged and were neutralized without spectacle. Walls became cover, then pathways. A collapsing structure became a lure. Observers leaned forward. The simulation escalated beyond planned parameters. The system attempted to force failure. Environmental hazards increased. Supply limits dropped. Third shift adapted. They shared resources without orders. They rotated positions without commands. When one stumbled, another compensated instantly. No heroics, no panic hat. The end. The environment stabilized because there was nothing left to threaten them. Silence followed. A council member asked where the elite unit was. A human liaison smiled politely. This was the elite unit. Just not the one the universe expected. Questions flooded in. How long had they trained? What enhancements did they carry? What doctrine guided them? The answers unsettled everyone. Training never stopped. Enhancements were minimal. Doctrine was simple. Everyone mattered. In human forces, special forces existed. They were highly trained, highly capable, highly respected, but they were not separate from the rest. They emerged from the regulars. Return to the regulars taught the regulars there was no myth of untouchable warriors, only a culture where competence was shared. Other species struggled with this idea. Most civilizations separated roles strictly. Thinkers did not fight fighters, did not build builders, did not decide. Humans blurred everything. A cook might have piloting hours. A technician might have survival training. A clerk might know battlefield logistics. Not because they expected war. Because they expected problems. The universe watched trade lanes change. Pirates stopped targeting human ships not because of fear of elites, but because every human vessel might resist. Not loudly, not dramatically. Effectively, a rumor spread that even human artists could dismantle a threat. Another claimed that farmers had turned back invasions. Exaggeration perhaps, but rooted in something real. Human civilians trained for emergencies the way others trained for war. They practiced coordination. They practiced redundancy. They practiced calm when Asked why humans invested so much in their regular forces, a human officer answered simply, because that is who shows up. Crises did not wait for elites, disasters did not schedule themselves, so humans prepared everyone. Frontier world learned this the hard way in ancient machine intelligence, awakened beneath its surface, not hostile by intention but destructive by nature. It destabilized gravity fields, disrupted habitats. Nearest elite human unit was days away. The regulars were already there. Miners sealed breaches using techniques borrowed from spacewalk's teachers. Organized evacuations using crowd control methods. Local security adapted construction drones into stabilizers. They did not defeat the machine. They contained the damage. They saved lives. By the time elite units arrived, the crisis was manageable. Reports circulated widely. The universe stopped. Laughing military academies across the stars rewrote case studies. They tried to replicate human methods. They failed at first because they copied techniques, not mindset. Mindset was the real force. Responsibility. Without waiting authority, without ego skill, without obsession over status. Human regulars were dangerous because they did not see themselves as expendable or exceptional. They saw themselves as necessary. Historian from a long-lived species summarized it best: in most civilizations, special forces are feared because they are rare. In humanity, regular forces are feared because they are everywhere. This did not mean humans were invincible. They made mistakes, they suffered losses, they learned painfully, but they learned together. When conflict came, humanity did not rely on legends, they relied on habits. Check your tools, watch your team adapt quickly. Finish the job. The universe eventually understood the title humans used. Special forces special because they specialized, because they went where preparation was impossible, but the regulars, they were special because they were normal and that terrified everyone. Because if normal humans could do this, what could humanity become? No answer satisfied the council, so they chose caution, they chose cooperation, they chose respect. Trade agreements shifted. Security doctrines changed. Diplomats spoke more carefully. Because humans demanded it, because everyone had seen what happened when ordinary people refused to be ordinary. In the end, the most feared symbol in space was not an elite insignia. It was a plain human uniform, worn and practical, marked with nothing but function. A reminder that in human space, anyone might be ready and everyone mattered.